Is that it? Is that it? Is that the sound?
You're actually going to start with it.
You wanna explain?
Hey guys, my name's Mohammed and welcome back to Jackass.
So, before we started the show, I don't even remember why that conversation came up.
What were we talking about?
I don't remember what we were talking about, but you started talking. We somehow got into the topic of your kid, and you're like, "Oh, this is how my kid asks for cheese."
That's what she thinks the word cheese is. That's how she says cheese. It's.
I'm like, okay, demon child. All right, guys, welcome back to the Brave podcast. Tonight it is just us two. My name is Angelo. For those of you who don't know me, I go by Exploring with Angelo here on YouTube. Normally I'm out there hunting ghosts and going to abandoned places. Apparently I'm going on a few cool trips, which we'll get into. But yeah, you can find us on other places like...
I was just gonna do that. Like, obviously here we're on YouTube. You check us out on YouTube at the Brave Podcast. Also Spotify. Also Rumble. Was there something else? I forgot. Did we ever get on?
No, I think that's it.
Apple Podcast.
Oh, okay. Apple Podcast. That's right.
Apple Podcast. I don't use an
Yeah.
iPhone.
I don't know. I just upload things and then just boop, it goes out there into the world.
That's how it goes.
Yeah.
Boop. Boop.
But yeah, so recently I just went to Ohio for the third or fourth time in my life. We did a bunch of really cool spots. Let me tell you about them. So you guys have probably seen all of the videos so far. We went to a place called Middle Point, Ohio School. And then we did a brewery, which used to be a church. And then we did something known as the Bel Air House. And there was like a bunch of crazy stuff about the Bel Air House that after editing the video is when I found out about it, because I don't like to read things before I go to locations. I just don't like to read things in general half the time. If like you send me something, sometimes I'll just completely ignore it or skip over it for some odd reason because I'm a dick. But I love how he's just like,
Well, I've known you for a long time, so
most of the time it's just unintentional, but it'll happen just because I have like 50,000 things in a day going on. But so the one thing about the Bel Air House, apparently on 3 different occasions, something tried to, on one occasion, it actually worked. So some sort of entity apparently told some kid to go and jump out of the attic window. Yeah.
Was this like a residential house? A family was living in it?
Yeah, so it's an old 1800s. I think it was built in the 1840s, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember the exact time frame, but it's a really, really old house. It was built by a gentleman who was like owned a successful mining company in the area. Basically, like owned, I want to say probably majority of the property in that specific town, which is known as Bel Air. And then it kind of like, changed hands, mostly family members. They say that the place became haunted because there was a guy there named Edwin, his sister who lived with him. I guess they were very close. She passed away, and he would do seances to try and get to communicate with her in this one particular area. And a lot of people just kind of assume that that's probably the likelihood of how this place became haunted. But the crazy part about this is in post edit, after editing this video, I was here last night. I'm like, bro, that's crazy. I was using this like new spirit box thing that I have. And at one point it yelled out jump, right? And I don't even think I heard it while I was actually doing it. But I was editing it after. I'm just like, why is it saying jump? Like that just seems really random. Like
it sounded like a person?
Yeah, it was like the voice of an actual person. So basically what the thing, it's called an IDC direct link. So basically it scans through 35,000 different frequencies. And basically spirits, entities, whatever you want to call them, can essentially choose the responses, and there's always like weird voices that come through. At one point it yelled out in Jazz's face, no, and we're like, okay, relax.
Wow.
Yeah, that place was really, really weird. One of the weirdest things, I wasn't really sure if I was going to include this in the video or not. I decided not to, just because of for the privacy of whoever this person was. So I have actual camera footage. I'm probably never going to show this just because for that specific reason. I just don't want to embarrass the person because I don't know the reason why they did this. But there was this really weird thing that happened. So I was sitting outside on the porch at one point, and there's this lady, and she's like kind of stumbling up this hill, like on the sidewalk, walking, but you can see her kind of like moving really weird. Then she gets like around the corner and she's just standing there, not moving, not doing anything at all. And I'm like, what's going on?
How far is she from you?
Like,
is she looking at you guys?
No, she wasn't looking at me at all. So I think Jazz was inside the house at this point, and I was outside by myself. So I pulled out my camera like in between like these plants or whatever, and I can just like see her, and she's clearly just standing there for no reason. I don't know if this girl was just on some crazy drugs, or maybe she was really drunk. I have no idea, but I don't know. I don't know what that was all about, because there's a lot of like history of paranormal stuff in that particular area. I have no idea if it was paranormal, but I just thought it was like really strange that she did that.
Yeah.
It kind of reminded me like, which we're going to get into, because there's another crazy incident that I had found online, but it reminded me of the Cecil Hotel. I don't know if you remember that story.
I remember the name.
Yeah, it was a crazy hotel in California. This girl from Vancouver went there, and she disappeared, and then they ended up finding there was a whole Netflix series about it, but that thing was that place was crazy. But yeah, Ohio was fun. Ohio's always it's always a hoot. Always a blast. So
I've been once, but I was visiting family, so I didn't get to see any of the, and I was young, so I didn't see any of the city or the state at all.
Yeah. There's a lot to actually see in Ohio. It's very historic. A lot of stuff has happened there.
Do you have a top 3 you would recommend to somebody?
Like if they were to go there?
Sure.
Well, from what I hear, stay away from Cleveland.
Oh, it's funny because that's where I went.
Is that where you went?
Oh wait, no, Columbus.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've been to Columbus a couple of times. I had a fan actually that we met last year on a road trip that we met. This was the second time I had met her. Her name's Natasha. And I know she was having at the first time we met her was at a place known as Bobby Mackey's, which apparently Bobby Mackey's might be moving soon. Ooh. I don't know if they're just like moving out of the building. But for those of you that don't know, Bobby Mackey's was essentially a haunted country music bar for a very long time. It used to be like many things over the years, and there's been like deaths and weird, mysterious paranormal stuff. There was an exorcism of one of the guys who used to live there, this guy named Carl, which was all on camera. But yeah, so we were in Bobby Mackey's, and this lady messaged Jazz, and she's like, oh, we're in Columbus. We're like 4 hours away from you. He's like, yeah, we're at Bobby Mackey's. If you want to come see us, come by all means, right?
Driving 4 hours right now.
Yeah, so this lady drove 4 hours. She has a debilitating disease. I can't remember what the name of it is. I know she's terminal, but this lady drove 4 hours with her son in her big ass pickup truck. I think she calls it the Shadow. It used to be her late husband's pickup truck, but she still drives it around. So the second time, I knew I was going through Columbus. I don't remember if we stayed there that night. I honestly can't remember, but I messaged because I knew she was having a hard time, like financially. Her truck broke down, so I'm like, oh, let's go meet up with her. Made it like a small donation, whatever, just to kind of help out.
That's nice.
Because when we got robbed in New Orleans, her and both of her sons donated a bunch of money to Chelsea to replace a camera.
Holy crap.
Right? That was basically stolen out of my car at the time. And I just figured, you know what, I'll help her out if I had the means at the time to do it. So she gives us like a location to meet her at, and she comes like with her electric scooter. And you just see her from like down the road. I'm like, how far did you, like 20-25 minutes, I think she like scootered over basically.
Oh wow.
Yeah, we hung out. It was really cold because Ohio is always cold during the winter. But yeah, that's my little experience of Ohio so far. What was your experience like? What did you do?
No idea.
Nothing?
No, it was so long ago, man. It was like 20 plus years ago, and I was so young, and I was hanging out with family, so it was nice.
Yeah, that's cool.
In Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah, Columbus Blue Jackets, right?
I think we saw some game. I think it was a hockey game, so it could have been.
Oh, you actually went to a game. Yeah. But you're not sure if it was basketball or cricket or
it was
curling or
thanks man. It was either it was either hockey or football or soccer. So yeah, I don't remember it all.
Nice. They do soccer in Columbus? I didn't even know that.
No, it could have been like my cousin's game or something.
Oh, maybe.
Honestly, at this point, I don't remember it all.
At this point, it just felt like a professional game, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, we were supposed to have a guest on tonight, but unfortunately they couldn't make it. They got held up at work, and he's got a crazy story that he's been telling me. Something really weird is going on in his apartment. I'm not going to go into too many details, but it involves some sort of entity that's like been doing something, and we did like a little bit of an investigation. I might just have him come in maybe on the weekend before I leave, because apparently this soon I'm leaving. But yeah, so I'm gonna let him tell his own story.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm going on the road again, of course. I'm going to go to like New York State, then meet up with some people, go back to Ohio again, of course, because there's just like endless spots out there. So we should be doing some pretty interesting locations. I really wanted to do the brewery that I just did. It used to be an old monastery, turned into a brewery. And there was like so many different areas that like, we were up till almost 7 o'clock in the morning. We still didn't even finish filming all of it. Like there was so many areas to do. So got to go back.
Time to go.
Yeah. Also, I don't think I showed you this, did I? Not yet.
I tried to look away. Can you see it?
So there it is. So one of you guys, I don't remember your name. I'm going to ask Jazz for it so I can like post it on Instagram. But it's basically a Ouija board. It actually lights up.
Awesome. Oh, great. That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it lights up. I'm going to figure out a way to, because there's no like actual thing on the back of this. So I got to figure out. Yeah, I got to find something to like hang it. And
is it USB?
Yeah.
Plug it into your laptop. Let's see it later. Do you have I have an available port here. Yeah. Actually, I don't want to touch it.
Okay. Yeah, I got it.
No, okay. I got a port over here.
I got one right here.
Do you have one? Yeah, you do.
Yeah, we got like this force switch thingy over here. There you go. There you go.
It'll light up there.
It lights up. Apparently, it goes with like surrounding sounds. He gave me like a remote. Like he actually makes these by hands.
Oh, that's
by
cool.
hand. So
I'm trying to get the sound.
I don't know how to do that part. So it might be this.
The colors are changing.
Hello. I don't know, but whatever. He gave us like a little planchette to go along with it. I'm just trying not to unplug everything at the same time. I got it. There
we should post it on the the Instagram. So if you guys want to see what we're talking about, if you're not watching us on YouTube right now, check us out at Brave Podcast 00 on Instagram.
00. Yeah, well, people keep giving me stuff, so we're slowly like filling up the walls in here. Brent gave us the on-air thing the other day,
the neon LED sign.
Yeah,
sign.
So that'll cool. Look really cool. Yeah. We have a spot for it. We just haven't had a chance to put it up. Now we got a Ouija board. I'll probably put it on the other side, far away from Moshi, so he doesn't freak out.
Thank you.
But the studio is coming together, so not too bad. I keep fiddling with this camera because I rearrange it and put it that way, so that way I can film stuff. But yeah, let's get into the first.
Smell this.
Oh, okay. What is this?
Okay, so I found online. I got advertised one of these ads, of course, online on Instagram, and it's one of those companies that's like, we make mushroom coffee. So it's, a replacement for your coffee. So you're not having caffeine and whatever. I'm like, yo, you know what? That's a good idea. We were talking at work about how, excess caffeine, it can do a lot of bad to you, like in terms of like stuff in the brain. Yeah. That's one, constricting the, whatever the words are, like the veins in your brain and all this kind of crazy shit, right? So I'm like, maybe I should, because at one time, especially when the baby was young, I was having like 3 espressos at work plus a coffee, I was doing a lot. And so I think, okay, I better. Wow,
just
okay.
3?
I
just had like 3 before you got here.
It's a lot. That's a lot. So I ordered this, what I thought was mushroom coffee. No, I ordered the friggin' mushroom matcha green tea. I'm like, why would I order that? I don't need matcha green tea is healthy enough. I don't need to substitute it for mushroom. Yeah. The coffee is one. Anyways, I tried the mushroom green tea, and our friend Alex Noble, when I showed it to him, he freaked out. He loved it. Yeah. Yeah. He had, anyway, so I actually like it. Try it. I like it a lot, and it smells good. I added a little bit of the heavy cream that we have. So it's kind of like, they say you can add creamer and sweetener and whatever if you want.
It's not bad.
Yeah. It's not, no, it's not bad at all. I think the flavor is good.
Yeah.
I still think I'm going to order the coffee replacement.
Still, to me, it just still tastes like green tea, more or less. Yeah. Like there's no real...
But at least there's like a lot of good stuff in it.
Yeah,
it's got all 6 of the crazy mushrooms, like the cordyceps. And
mushrooms are very good for you, from what I hear. Yeah. So are pistachios. I don't know if that was a lie, but I just say that because I like pistachios.
I think pistachios are high sugar, right?
They're actually pretty high carbs.
Yeah, that's what I think it must be.
I didn't know that. It was funny because I remember a while ago when I got actively into doing the keto diet, which apparently you're now back on as of today after eating a bunch of boiled eggs and sending me a picture. I'm back on keto. I'm like, yeah, let's do it. And then I showed you my dinner. I had like a 13-ounce ribeye steak with some mashed potatoes and some veggies at Moxie's.
I wasn't jealous.
It was actually very delicious. But yeah, so I remember when I was just like first actively getting really into keto, and I'm trying to explain it to my mom, right? Because, you know, she's Italian, so it's they're very stubborn. So to explain to them, carbs bad,
Right.
sugar bad, fat and protein good,
Yeah.
right? They don't understand that. They're like, no, you have to have at least some pasta. I'm like, no, I don't. I literally do not have to have any pasta, right?
Another like pain point when you're trying to explain a diet like that to especially the older generation is they've all been taught that fat is bad, fat is bad, fat is bad, fat is cholesterol, fat is heart disease and all that stuff, which you know, at that time absolutely that's what they knew. But yeah, it's different now because you're using the fat as the fuel with the keto diet. It's not the same as they were thinking of it.
I'm gonna just under the assumption that the only reason they were told fat and protein or too much of it was bad for you, which is just a complete myth as far as I know. Obviously consult your doctor.
This is not medical advice.
No, definitely not medical advice. But I'm going to just assume that the only people who were recommending carbs and sugar were the people who make carbs and sugar, right? So the companies out there who make the pastas and, you know, the refined sugar and the cereals that are obviously not really good for you, highly processed garbage, which I try and stay away from as much as possible. I think everybody cheats once in a while. Like recently I've been just kind of cheating a little bit, but that's because I've been on the road a lot. So it's harder to obviously to eat healthy on the road. But the great thing in the US is that there is an abundance of Longhorn steakhouses. So that's not really much of an issue.
Easy for you to find a good steak.
Yeah, of course. I mean, in the US, they're just like a dime a dozen. I find here it's just like steak is super expensive. Like to go like in the US, I mean, realistically, if you go to like diners and like if you know certain locations, you could eat pretty good quality stuff, homemade stuff every single day. It would probably be cheaper depending on where you live to just eat out. I've actually heard this, that it's cheaper in some areas to just eat out every single day, eat groceries. One big meal a day or two than actually than to go out and buy groceries, which is just crazy. But yeah, it is definitely too bad. But yeah, in Canada, forget it. Like there's absolutely no way you'd be super broke. Like steak here, it was like a 13-ounce ribeye was like $50 plus tax was what, $56.50 plus a tip. You're talking $67 for dinner. To do that every day is just outrageous.
And let alone like for lunch, I went to a Greek place and it was a couple days ago, and it was a Greek salad with an extra skewer of chicken souvlaki. It had rice on it as well. Altogether, it was like $19 for the lunch.
That's not bad.
It's a lot of money for a lunch. $20. Imagine if like you were saying, if you're going to do that every day.
Yeah. You
$20
said it was
a day, right?
So you said extra skewer. Is it just the salad and then add a skewer, or is it?
Yeah, so it came with one, like like 4 chunks of chicken souvlaki or whatever. So an extra skewer.
So one on top of that.
Exactly.
So how much would it be without the extra skewer though?
I think it was a $3 difference. I think.
Oh, okay. So like 16, 17
like
bucks or whatever. Yeah. I don't know, man. Things are getting very expensive these days. But I found some crazy. This one's nuts. Let me open this page here. So I've been following this Twitter page called Morbid Knowledge on X at Morbidful. This person's name is Oksana Malaya, and she was neglected by her alcoholic parents. So between the ages of 3 and 8, she took refuge in a shed inhabited by wild dogs behind her house. Bro, there's a video of this. Just wait for it. When she was rescued at age 8, her behavior mimicked that of a wild dog. She growled, walked on all fours, sniffed her food before eating, couldn't talk, and it said that her bark was indistinguishable from that of a real dog. She was transferred to a hospital for mentally disabled patients. After years of specialized therapy, she was taught how to subdue her dog-like behaviors and act like a human. She went on to work at a farm, but remained somewhat intellectually impaired. There's a video somewhere. Here it is. I found it.
Holy shit.
At first, this looks like some kind of strange hoax.
Oh my god.
Isn't this
girl,
crazy?
Oksana Malaya, running, jumping, eating, and barking, just like a dog.
Watch her head.
Oksana's behavior is the
result like a legit dog.
Yeah.
Childhood neglect. Neglect that began when she was 3.
Mum had too many kids. We didn't have enough beds. So I crawled to the dog and started living with her.
Her parents were alcoholics, and one night, too drunk to care, they left their infant daughter outside in the cold. Looking for warmth, Oksana crawled into the farm kennel. Curling up with the mongrel dogs probably saved her life.
I would talk to them, they would bark, and I would repeat it. That was our way of communication.
For the next 6 years, from the age of 3 to 8, the kennel was Oksana's home, and the dogs her family.
That's crazy.
That's wild.
So like even when she was barking, like no joke, she legit sounds exactly like, yeah, exactly like a dog.
Oh my god. Wow.
Right? I've never heard this story ever in my life. I just thought it was crazy, hence why I wanted to bring it up. So I thought
it was going to be one of those stories of like, you know, the girl in class identifies as a dog.
You know what's funny? When I read this, I thought about like, because sometimes because I'll make like I'll save a bunch of things over like a week, 2 week span, and then we'll bring them up on the podcast. So when I had put the note down in my head, sometimes I kind of imagine how I'm gonna like bring like segue into it, sort of thing, and that's exactly what I thought of. So this girl transitioned into a dog, but it's not what you think, right? So I just thought that was pretty funny.
There's the clickbait title,
right? Yeah, that is clickbait. So if you see the title of this video saying something along those lines, you know why. But yeah, dude, like I don't know, man.
Shoot, that's so sad. How could I don't know.
It is.
I guess alcoholics was the factor there, but I can't imagine.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I don't know. But like my question is, like, I'm sure there's probably more to the story. I'm gonna see if there's actually is. I think there is more stuff here. Yeah, there's more info. It says the story of the girl raised by dogs. Oksana Malaya's story is a pretty clear indicator that nature plays a bigger role than nature. At merely 3 years old, her alcoholic parents neglected her and left her outside one night. Instinctively, she crawled. Okay, we know that already. Her parents hardly noticed that she was missing. Man, how like messed up were these people? She lived in the dog kennel, eating the scraps they had left. Though she must have seen humans at a distance and seems occasionally to have entered her old family house like a stray, they were no longer her species. All meaningful life was contained in the kennel. Slowly, Oksana began to become one of the pack and less like a human, and it isn't until 5 years later that a neighbor notified the police that a little girl was being raised by dogs. It's crazy how like it would have taken 5 years for a neighbor to even notice something like this was going on, right? But by the time she was rescued, she had lost all ability to speak, was running on all fours like a dog, etc., etc. Oksana Malaya is now almost 34 years old and lives in a home for the mentally disabled. She tends to the farm animals, but surprisingly doesn't spend much time with her own pet dog. Her tone is flat and emotionless, and there is no rhythm when she speaks. She was able to learn how to talk again because she had some childish speech before she was abandoned. At an orphanage school, they taught her to walk upright, to eat with her hands, and crucially, to communicate like a human being. Experts who had the chance to visit her and see her Ukraine, I assume that meant they meant to write her in Ukraine, said she has the mental capacity of a 6-year-old and a low tolerance for boredom, which kind of sounds like me. Although she can follow directions well and loves to be the center of attention. When given anything, her first instinct is to hide, just like a dog with a bone. Wow, that's crazy. When was this article written? So that was 2017, so she was what, 34?
So now she's 40.
Yeah, so now she's about 40 years old.
Ooh.
I wonder if she like ever still kind of does like, I mean, they kind of basically said that periodically she'll still get like the instinct to run on all fours or whatever.
That's wild.
She must have bad knees.
Imagine
Or
crawling, extremely strong.
Or extremely strong.
Maybe.
I don't know. Yeah, but I don't think like your kneecaps can handle stuff like that.
Probably not.
Yeah.
I wonder what the conditioning, what that would do.
I don't know.
That's crazy.
That's a crazy story.
Sad.
It kind of reminds me of who was the lady who went to live in the jungle with apes, I think.
Did that really happen?
Yeah, she was famous. She was a world famous like a researcher. What was her name?
Is her name Jane?
Jane Goodall or something like that.
Wait.
It might have been Jane Goodall.
I'm just because Tarzan and Jane. That's why I said that.
Jane Goodall. Formerly known.
Oh, it is. Is it Jane? Her name's really Jane.
Yeah, she was foremost expert on chimpanzees.
Is that how they got the name Jane from Tarzan and Jane?
It's possible. It's possible. No. But yes, I think the story is that she went to live with the chimps for like a good period of time. Living with chimpanzees. Let's see here. Just trying to pull up the article.
Jane Goodall on Living with Chimps.
Yeah, so it first appeared August 1963. Up in the mountains, the midway sun glared fiercely, but down in the valley near the swift running, blah, 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 blah. Slowly and quietly, but making no attempt to hide, I moved toward the great apes until I got only 30 feet away. As I sat down, they watched me, staring rather hard, a young female who has been lying on the ground. I believe she was the one that lived. I don't feel like reading this whole thing, but yeah, I'm pretty sure she was the one who actually legit went into
a YouTube video from Jimmy Kimmel saying Dr. Jane Goodall on Living with Chimps, their language and possibility of Bigfoot.
I think she did it for like a long period of time so that way she could research them and learn their habits and their behaviors and stuff like that. Yeah, crazy stories. Human beings, man. Human beings do some crazy stuff. So there's another story, and this is the one that actually kind of reminds me of the incident that happened at the Cecil Hotel, which I don't know if you're that familiar with it, but they still never solved it to this day. And I know that the hotel is like abandoned now, but they have active security, so you can't really go there.
That's the same one we talked about, the Netflix where the girl from Vancouver went.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All I know is what I saw on Netflix. So was it true that they found? We were saying what the story is, right?
Yeah.
Like they found her in the water tank on the roof.
Yeah.
And
they have no idea how it's unconfirmed. There's like obviously a lot of speculation that maybe she was partying a little too hard. Maybe she did some drugs.
Yeah.
And just kind of lost her mind because there was like footage of her roaming around the hotel and it looked like she was talking to somebody
from the elevator.
I remember there was nobody visible in the camera frame, right? So nobody, to this day, still no one really knows what the hell happened, but it's just a crazy, wild story. But there's another one, and this one's really weird too. And it reminded me a lot of that. So this is, again, from Morbid Knowledge. In July 2014, Lars Mittank, a 28-year-old from Germany, went on a vacation with his 5 friends to Varna, Bulgaria. The week went really fast, said Paul Roman, one of Mittank's friends. However, the day before the group was scheduled to fly back home, Lars got in a fight with other German nationals at a bar. The fight stemmed from a disagreement over football. I don't know why this always happens. There's always like hooligans when it comes to football.
Especially at a bar.
Yeah. So when they say football, guys, it's not American football. We're talking about soccer, okay? Lars was absent for most of the evening but reappeared at his hotel by the next morning, recounting to his friends that he had been assaulted by a group of 4 men, resulting in injuries to his jaw and ruptured eardrum. Afterwards, Lars visited a doctor who recommended against flying due to his injury. Additionally, the doctor prescribed an antibiotic for him. Despite his friend's desire to stay with him, he insisted he could manage alone. He encouraged them to stick to the initial travel schedule and fly home on July 7th, which they did. Lars checked out of the hotel room with his friends and then checked into a new hotel. But this is where things turned really strange. The day following his friend's departure, Lars displayed odd and paranoid behavior. From this hotel, he contacted his mother, Sandra Mittank, speaking in hushed tones, expressing fears that individuals were attempting to harm or rob him. He also urged her to cancel his credit cards. The CCTV in the hotel captured him pacing up and down the halls, looking out windows, and hiding in an elevator. Around 1 a.m., he departed the hotel and came back approximately an hour later. His whereabouts during this time remain unknown. In the morning, he once again called his mother, telling her that the people pursuing him were getting closer. Lars arrived in Varna Airport on July 8th, 2014, the day he intended to board his flight back to Germany. He sought advice from the airport doctor, Dr. Kosta Kostov, that sounds really funny, who later characterized his demeanor as nervous and erratic. According to Kostov, he told Mittank that he was fine and could return home. Lars also expressed concerns about the medication he was taking. Shortly after, a construction worker entered the office, causing Lars to exclaim, "I don't want to die here. I have to get out of here." He abruptly fled the office, abandoning his luggage containing his wallet, cell phone, and passport. These final moments of Lars Mittank can be observed in the CCTV footage provided below. Upon exiting the airport, he can be observed in the footage jogging away from the airport, scaling a fence, and bolting into a meadow. Following this, he completely disappeared. So here's all the footage. He's literally just like, ooh, let's turn this music off. So there's him walking in, I guess.
Bang.
And then he's just leaving.
Holy.
So he runs. Thank God it's circled because you would never know which one's which. I guess they didn't have like a camera facing the other way.
Wow.
Yeah. It says here more info. Lars Mittank's right was darkened early on by a bar fight. So I don't know. That's
I guess there was probably, so we don't know if he was actually hurt. I mean, we assume that he was somehow like jumped by some people. But
yeah.
So maybe he got some brain damage.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of thinking too. Like it's I don't know.
I think that was definitely
I mean, that sounds likely.
Yeah.
It definitely sounds likely.
Yeah. So, I mean, paranoia. Yeah. Could it not be just like drugs too?
I mean, yeah, it could have been, right? Maybe. But then again, if he was, it's really hard to say. I mean, nobody really knows what happened because all his friends left, right? Yeah. So who knows what the heck was going on? But it sounds like, yeah, if they gave him something for his ear or head, or if he received a concussion and then just lost it after that for obviously one reason or another. It's weird because it's like the two stories sound very, very similar to one another, and I assume obviously they don't know whatever happened to him. Why his fate remains a puzzle with many missing pieces. So there's like a lot to the story. Like people have made videos on this, and yeah, they say the odds of finding him are very, very slim. I mean, it happens, man. Maybe he was like picked up by these guys, and who knows what happened after that. So I know somebody that I don't know if I ever mentioned this on this podcast. I didn't know this up until just like a little while ago. So somebody that I went to school with, I guess he got involved with some pretty bad people. And at some point he was at a store with his brother. They were outside and some van like pulled up, grabbed him, threw him in the van. They found his remains in Montreal 4 years later. Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
Yeah. They don't know what happened. I mean, it could only be assumed that it was some sort of hit, right? But yeah, that's like nuts. So from Toronto to Montreal is what, 6 hours away? Yeah. So it's like, if it was a mob hit, I guess that kind of makes sense because there's a lot of mobsters in Montreal and stuff like that.
Wow.
Crazy the stuff that goes on. But yeah,
I was gonna say maybe we'll find that gentleman living with dogs or something.
You think so?
It's a possibility.
He's hiding in a shed somewhere, living with somebody's dogs for the last 8-9 years or whatever.
Not to make a joke of the situation, but
no, absolutely
anything is possible. We
absolutely
have seen this now.
Yeah, I don't know. It's crazy, like, finding these stories. It's like, how does nobody know what happened? Like, just like the girl with Cecil, like, how did she end up in the water container?
Yeah.
I've spoken to some people about it. They're like, man, she was just really high on drugs and she just decided to go for a swim, and then the thing probably closed on her.
That's
and she
exactly
couldn't figure
what I
out
was
how to
gonna say.
open it.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, look, they put a pool up on the roof. Like, you don't know. You don't know
Right.
what's going on in these people's heads. And
That's
again,
right.
it's not to like make fun of them, but it's like the situation is just so weird and it just makes no sense. And that's kind of like the
Exactly.
mystery behind it. And then you have Netflix making documentaries about these situations,
That's
right? Yeah, so there was another story that I had found yesterday. So apparently, I don't know if you ever heard this before. So this came up on TikTok at first. It was like a little clip of some other podcast. I don't remember the name. I apologize. But apparently, there was a Santa Claus at a mall in Scarborough, Ontario, who turned out to be a serial killer.
Awesome.
Right? I don't know why I can't open this link all of a sudden.
You have to
Open.
click
Oh,
control.
this thing?
Yeah.
So this is a Vice article, unfortunately. But
we don't like Vice.
Vice sucks. They used to be really good when they actually used to create interesting content.
Oh, okay.
But now they're just woke and far left. But
Got it.
it's okay. We'll let it slide for now because apparently, FYI, this story is over 5 years old anyways.
Thank you.
So alleged murder of 2 men from Toronto's gay village was a mall Santa. And that was the other thing. He was apparently targeting gay men. And I remember hearing something about this. I don't remember if this was the guy who was like burying their bodies like in planters or something.
No, that's a very famous guy.
I don't really remember. We'd have to look that
Was that in
one up.
Canada?
There was one in Canada.
Because the planters, there was.
Unless you're thinking John Wayne Gacy.
That's,
Yeah.
he did that, right?
John Wayne Gacy. Well, originally John Wayne Gacy was targeting young gay men and basically bringing them over to his house, basically like, giving them drinks and whatever. And then he started killing them and then burying the bodies in the crawl space underneath his house.
Okay, so the guy
and
talking about is Bruce MacArthur, and that was Toronto.
Yeah, so that's the article that I have here.
Okay.
So apparently, I never knew this, but apparently he was a mall Santa for over 10 years.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So, to my understanding, and this is just kind of like a side point, but apparently the police officer who actually cracked the case, the detective, knows my father. Because I remember we were at my grandmother's house probably like a year or two ago, and we were watching this documentary about it. And he's like, oh shit, I know her. She used to come by my cafe back in the day, which was really, really funny.
Dang.
But yeah, I don't know if it was so I think he got caught. They confirmed that it was at least 2. They confirmed it was at least 2 murders, 2 men. And but they don't know if there was more. They assume there was probably like up to 8 because I think there was other people missing. And I think he was like basically bringing them back to his apartment. It's really weird because at this one period of time in Canada, there was Bruce MacArthur, and then we also had that Magnota guy. Remember him?
Luca
Magnota? Yeah.
Well, who was he again? I remember the name.
See, he was there was a Netflix series called Don't F with Cats.
Murder of... Oh, this guy.
Yeah. So originally, Luca Magnota...
universally loved this man.
I don't know why this whole podcast is just about like weird, morbid things, but it's so fascinating and crazy.
It's because the ex-Twitter account, that's why.
Yeah, apparently.
I love that account, by the way.
Yeah. So Luca Magnota, the way he originally started was he was essentially putting, and this is really, just listener and viewer discretion. We're not going to show anything, but listener discretion is advised here. So this guy was essentially taking live cats and putting them into like a vacuum pack bag alive, and then vacuum packing them, filming it, and then posting it on the internet, which was just crazy. I don't know if it was just like on Facebook or whatever. So the whole premise of the documentary was that this group of people started a group on Facebook, and they were trying to figure out essentially where it was coming from, where he was. I think they originally thought it was happening in the States. But then all of a sudden, the same guy started targeting again gay men, bringing them home, and then just like brutally murdering them on camera and then posting it on the internet. And then they kind of started to figure out that it was in Canada because he would put the body parts in suitcases and then leave them in random parts like around Montreal or whatever. Yeah. So eventually, spoiler alert, but eventually this group on Facebook figured out, I believe, exactly where his apartment was and where this was all going down and taking place. So they went in, or they arrested him, proved that this everything that they found was accurate. I can't speak today. Was accurate. So which was more than enough evidence to essentially put the guy away, probably for life, at least multiple life sentences. But yeah,
I still haven't watched that. I've been meaning to. I've been told 100 times to watch it.
Yeah, that was it was a good documentary. It was the part, because it's kind of funny. So I remember hearing this years ago. It's like, when you're sitting in a movie theater and like there's like explosions happening and there's like all these people like getting blown up and dying and whatever, and then and nobody bats an eye, and then the second you see like a dog or something, and everybody's like,
it's game over.
No, not the dog, or like a small child or something.
Oh, that'd be the worst.
Oh my God. Yeah. Like you could just literally be sitting there like nothing. And it just doesn't, like, you'll be watching Saving Private Ryan and it's like, it just doesn't even phase you. And then all of a sudden like a dog gets blown up on the screen and you're just like, lose your shit.
Yeah.
So I think that's why people got like really angry, because that was the whole premise of the documentary was don't F with cats, right? So they got mad because this guy was literally suffocating cats to death on video and then posting it online. But yeah, I have something else here that I wrote down. The craziness that is Canada now. So I've mentioned before hearing from other people as to what's going on in schools here in Ontario. And it just keeps getting crazier and crazier. So we've spoken about a lot of the crazy things like, the push for gender ideology in schools. Other things like forced beliefs, like now you have a lot of the LGBTQIA plus whatever being, kind of force fed down young people's throats in schools, which I got no problem with the LGBTQIA whatever community. But it's just like when you're doing it to children, I could see a little bit of a problem with that, because it's obviously indoctrination. You should be teaching these children school things, math, science, things we can grasp and actually understand, not trying to tell them that they're in the wrong body, essentially. So what I've been hearing a lot about in Catholic schools, especially now here in my area, is that they have the cross on the wall, and then right next to it they have the rainbow flag, and it's just like they're not on the same level, right? Sorry, but recently we just had Halloween pass, and I was talking to somebody. I think he's about 70. He's in grade 12, so he's 17 years old, and he was telling me, he's like, before Halloween, he was telling me that they're going to be banning several different. They have an 18-page PDF document of all the costumes that are now banned in schools, right?
Oh man!
When you went to school, did they send out documents and emails stating that all of these costumes? I mean, it was pretty much a given that, a girl going to school, dressed reasonably. Same thing, obviously, with guys. And everybody just kind of did whatever. You had the Spider-Man, you had the zombie, you had the Joker, the Batman, whatever, right? Everybody was respectable about it. A couple weeks afterwards, because I wasn't able to see him after that, because he works at a local cafe that I go to. So that's why he kind of just tells me all this random stuff that's going on in schools. And it's just crazy. So when I saw him several weeks after Halloween, I'm like, so how did Halloween go? Did they just end up banning everything? He's like, yeah, they literally banned everything. You were not allowed to wear a costume. Wow. They only allowed you to wear an orange t-shirt. That was it.
The hell? Right? What is that? What does an orange t-shirt have to do with Halloween?
I don't know.
Just because it's like orange and black are Halloween colors, and
I guess.
Hey, let's celebrate Halloween. Wear a t-shirt.
So
but only this approved t-shirt.
I'm like, dude, that literally makes no sense, right? And I'm like, okay, but why? Did they explain why they're doing this? Because I told him, I'm like, you should pipe up, ask questions, right? Catch them in the lie, catch them in trying to explain it, and let themselves sound as stupid as they are.
That's right.
Right? The stupid reasons and the stupid logic that they'll give you. So apparently he did ask. I don't know if he asked a principal or a teacher or whatever. But
you're gonna get this kid expelled.
No, because I'm not saying I'm not giving any names.
No, I'm saying by what he's doing, by him questioning things.
No, absolutely. Well, I mean, it's already happening anyways.
Yeah, no,
right?
that's what I'm saying is that, you get people who are saying the right things and they're getting punished for it.
Yeah, it's crazy. We have Josh Alexander here, who I don't remember the exact school, but I believe he was in the Renfrew County, close to Ottawa, and he got kicked out for expressing his belief that there are only two biological genders, and not only, but that was because he was already in debate. The teacher had initiated a debate on the topic. So if you're going to ask and get a question, why are you all of a sudden getting butthurt when somebody gives you their opinion on it, right? That makes no sense to me. But apart from that, then he was removed from school because he had also gone on about how he was uncomfortable with biological males using the female bathrooms, which makes a lot of sense. If you look into the story of Loudoun County, about how a student there, biological male student who was wearing a skirt, and this was in the United States in Maryland, Loudoun County, there's articles about it. He sexually assaulted students, not on one occasion but two occasions, because the first time it happened, the father of the student who was assaulted brought it up to the school board, and the school board basically canceled him and said, you're crazy, we cannot stop these children from going into the female washroom or whatever. So he got canceled. The story didn't really break. And then the same kid wearing the skirt did it again, like a week or two later, which is crazy. And this is the reason why we have problems with stuff like this in schools, because it's obviously creating a real problem. People are getting hurt. Children are getting assaulted in the bathroom, right? Crazy. Washroom, whatever you say. But so anyways, back to this kid. So he told me that he's like, I asked the principal or teacher or whatever he had mentioned. And he goes on to say that the person gave him the reason as, well, these costumes are offensive. And he's like, okay, well, give me an example. He goes, well, for example, if a kid came dressed up as Super Mario, and then another kid who was of Italian, you're wearing a Super Mario t-shirt. I'm wearing a Super Mario t-shirt. So apparently, if a one kid comes into school dressed up as Super Mario, and a kid of Italian descent takes offense to that, then you can no longer be Super Mario, because Super Mario now is just offensive to Italian people. Which
should I apologize to you because I'm wearing a
absolutely
Super Mario
I am of Italian descent. How dare you offend me with your naughty shirt and your naughty words?
I should quote The Rock and say, it doesn't matter what you think about my shirt. Imagine that, man. You can't even Halloween.
Dude, it's ridiculous. It's like you're literally showing up as a fictional character. What does that have anything to do with anybody's culture or where their family comes from? Right. So basically, we should just cancel Japan for creating Super Mario in the first place, because Super Mario was not even created by Italian people anyways. Right. Us Italians just embraced him because he's awesome, right?
So like Halloween is like, you're wearing costumes because you want to be whatever. Like in the moment, I like this thing that I'm dressed as. I like this. That's why I'm doing this. And it's like, oh, this is so offensive.
Stupid. It's stupid, so man.
Offensive. This hurts me.
They're trying to make everything woke. That's the freaking problem. Yeah. Right? Like it doesn't make any sense. Like how can a kid not be allowed to dress up for Halloween? We never had any of these rules when I was growing up. We could just, for the most part, as long as it was respectful and tasteful, you can dress up as whatever you want. Yeah.
The only thing we weren't allowed to do was wear a mask because of safety reasons or whatever. So that other students that weren't from the school, people who weren't actually from the school, could get into the school. That's all. Oh, yeah, that's a safety thing. Yeah, that's literally. Yeah. It's not about your feelings.
That I understand, right?
Exactly.
That I understand.
That is understandable.
If something were to happen and the cameras obviously can't see the person who's doing it, but But then if you recall, there was a period of time. So if you remember back in the day, what would happen to you if you walked into the bank wearing a mask?
Oh, I have no idea.
Like, let's
You get stopped, I
say,
guess.
let's say 3+ years ago, what would happen to somebody if they were wearing a mask walking into the bank? Anything at all?
Nothing at all. It was COVID, right?
No, that was during COVID that nothing
So
would
you're talking
happen.
about before that.
Yeah, so
What would
hypothetically, back in the day, had somebody gone into a bank wearing a mask, automatically the cops would have been probably called.
Oh.
Security's probably coming after you. You're putting that bank into lockdown.
Nice.
And then after, once the mask mandates came out, all of a sudden, if you walk into the bank without wearing a mask, you're getting yelled at to put one on. I just thought that was really funny, but yeah, I don't know, man. The world is just going crazy. But other things that are happening here in Canada, because I feel like a lot of people, they don't even know a lot of this stuff is happening. So we have a deputy prime minister here who
Who's that?
Chrystia Freeland.
Oh,
Ever
I've heard
of
that
her?
name before. I think we've talked about her before. Wasn't she the
We
one
probably
that
mentioned
Trudeau was dating or something?
I don't know. I don't know
No, I'm
about
joking.
that, but okay. So first thing about Chrystia Freeland and how much of a bullshitter she is.
Oh,
So in reality, so she's Ukrainian Canadian.
Okay.
Right. Her grandfather, as far as I know, this is fact, apparently fought for Ukraine during World War II. Now, are you familiar with who the Ukrainians fought for during World War II?
no. Is it possibly the Germans?
Yes, it was the Nazis, because the Nazis at the time occupied Ukraine. So they were actually fighting against the Russians. The Ukrainians were fighting against the Russians. So her grandfather actually fought as a Nazi, essentially, right? I mean, we know that Ukraine still has an existing Nazi issue that's prevalent. If you look up the Azov Battalion, who our tax funds go to fund, are self-proclaimed neo-Nazis. That's an actual thing in Ukraine. But anyways, totally besides the point. And I'm not going to go around calling somebody a Nazi just because their grandfather fought for one side or the other, 80 years ago. I think that's an unfair statement.
That's right.
My point is, if her family, or she had families who were Ukrainian and who fought for the Nazis back in World War II, would it not make sense that she would be able to tell who's a Nazi or who would have fought for the Nazis back in the day, just based on her own, knowing her own family's history? Or maybe she's just really can't be bothered to learn that history. But it would be like, you probably
have some knowledge.
Right. Right. Like me being Italian, I know the history of Mussolini.
Sure.
And had you fought for the Italians during World War II, you were a fascist. Right? That's history. So I would be able to identify if an Italian man says that he fought during World War II for the Italians, then he would have technically fought for the fascists. Whether he wanted to or not is just, a totally different reason. But I have that understanding and that knowledge in my head. About, what was it, like a month and a half ago, Justin Trudeau and the Liberal Party brought a Ukrainian Nazi into the House of Parliament, and everyone clapped for him. Mm-hmm. This is all on camera. The Liberals later on apologized for it, and the Speaker of the House of Commons resigned.
That's right.
Yeah. So they essentially threw him under the bus.
Yeah.
Now I think they're all...
Yeah, Trudeau was saying that, it was him that knew who he was or something like that.
The speaker,
he invited him or something.
Yeah, Speaker of the House was Anthony Rota, I believe, at the time, who was part of the Liberal Party. But it's like, okay, so maybe Anthony Rota was just too stupid to acknowledge the fact that this person was legitimately a Nazi and brought him into the parliament. But how does Chrystia Freeland not know this information, right? Like, your grandfather also fought for them. So are you just completely unaware, or are you just acting oblivious?
Right.
Or you just don't care? Which one is it? Because now you've completely embarrassed our country, right? And no one's ever going to forget that. Everybody's going to remember Justin Trudeau when he's done as the guy who wore black paint on his face on several occasions. Also being the guy who yelled at unvaccinated people and basically barred them from doing anything in our country. but now also as the dude whose party brought in a Nazi, a literal Nazi, right?
And had them all give him a round of applause. Yeah.
So I don't know. That was just, but okay. So anyways, my whole point is bringing up Chrystia Freeland, and I just kind of went on a tangent because I cannot stand these people because they're just so stupid and they think we're stupid. That's the funny part. It's like, it's just idiocracy, just like the movie. But anyways, she always does this weird thing. I'm going to bring up this video, and this is not to mock her. Like, okay, just watch the video and tell me what you think. Hang on, let me, so this one was a little bit more tame, but okay. So first of all, who is she nodding to over and over and over again? Okay, nobody does that though, right?
No,
like that's not a
really,
normal
really
thing.
odd. Yeah.
Yeah.
So essentially, the only time I could see that, and that's a lot for this example, but if somebody else is talking, if there's giving a speech and you want to like visibly show I agree with you, you're gonna nod. Right. That's not usually constant for 45 seconds in a row.
Yeah. So like I'll do it if we're talking, we nod to each other in agreement, right? Yeah. But yeah, like you said, it's not like a weird like 45-second thing that she did or that people normally would do. It's just strange how she does it all the time because there's not only this video, but there's also another one here where she's doing the same thing, if not worse. It says what it looks like when there's a glitch in the Matrix.
I think it starts at about 15 seconds.
It just seems to me like she can't stand still.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Angelo, you're right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I agree with you. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's terrible. Yeah. Carbon tax.
Yeah. We're going to make you pay more taxes on top of your taxes.
Everybody needs a bicycle to get from here to PEI.
I don't own a bicycle, but yeah. Or no, I think she does own a bicycle, right? Because she lives in Toronto or whatever. I got to turn the volume on so people can.
The entirety of our province, and so you will know from the recent election that our top priority is always healthcare and making life more affordable.
It just seems so awkward. I don't understand. And it goes on for a whole minute and like a half or whatever. So
what the title is, what it looks like when there's a glitch in the Matrix.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they're not wrong though, but it's like, I don't want to like make fun of somebody because what if they do have like a disease or something, but then just say it. Right. So at least people understand why you're constantly going like this for a minute and a half. Like maybe you have Tourette's, understandable. Yeah. Maybe you have Parkinson's, right? Now, I think she's a little bit young for that, but I don't know when Parkinson's usually starts.
I think it could happen anytime.
Yeah?
Yeah, typically older, but I think at any time is possible.
Yeah, I think it's usually like in older, like we're talking like 70s, 75, something like that. I don't know, man. I don't know what's wrong with Chrystia Freeland, but... Oh, man. There's another funny one. This one was great. So I think it was yesterday, actually. A fight almost broke out in the Senate. This was in the United States. And this is the funniest thing I've seen in quite some time.
What are they talking about? Do we know?
So, okay. So for a little bit of context, apparently one senator was talking shit about another senator on X, aka
juicy.
Twitter. And I guess they were talking about fighting, like a literal fist fight, right? So they come into Senate and what was it?
Wait, let me read it. A fight almost broke out in a Senate hearing. Markwayne Mullin read a tweet from Teamster boss Sean O'Brien, which challenged Mullin to a fight. Mullin said he was ready to settle things right here, right now. Bernie Sanders shut the scene down.
But it's all on video. That's the greatest part about this whole thing. Here, check this out. This is amazing.
Like he's self-made. Sir, I wish you was in the truck with me when I was building my plumbing company. Myself and my wife was running the office because I sure remember working pretty hard and long hours. Pretends like he's self-made. What a clown. God. Always has been, always will be. The tough guy act in these Senate hearings. You know where to find me. Any place, anytime, cowboy.
Cowboy.
Sir, this is a time, this is a place. If you want to run your mouth, we can be two consenting adults. We can finish it here.
Okay, that's fine. Perfect.
You want to do it now?
I'd love to do it right now.
Well, stand your butt up then.
You stand your butt up.
Oh, stop it. Now you solutionary problem. No, sit down. Sit down. Okay. You're a United States Senator. Sit down.
Active.
Sit down, please.
Can I respond, Mr.
Hold it. If we can, no,
This is
I have
what
the
he
mic.
said.
I'm sorry.
This is
Hold
what
it.
he said.
You'll have your time.
Okay.
Damn it, Bernie.
Oh, no, you can't.
Let them go at it.
Bernie Sanders being the voice of reason here.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he had to shut that down. We
Yeah.
can't have people throwing down a fist fight. So, as it turns out, Mullins is an MMA fighter.
Look at him. He's a
got
big guy.
Yeah, he's got a history of going 5-0. Like, he was actually pretty good. He's undefeated. And this other dude who's
man.
like a nobody wanted to start a fight. Dude, he would have destroyed him.
Yeah,
he would have
easy.
literally
Yeah.
destroyed him on the Senate floor, and it would have been amazing to watch. I mean, back in the day, they used to have duels.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like in Congress. And,
You see the next picture down?
Yeah. No, where?
It's literally the Mullins guy cocking a gun. Oh, maybe you
it's
don't
not
have it
on
here.
the,
Click on the go up.
Self-made.
What am I looking for?
Click
here?
on that. Click on the actual
This?
Yes, click there.
Oh, okay.
And then the
That's
next
why
one
I
down.
didn't see it. Hang on.
Bam. Man's ready for his
Yeah.
duel.
I think so. I think that with the picture might have been a little out of context from what I heard.
Yeah.
Like, who? Let's do it. Any place, anytime. Comfortably smug. Meh, I don't know. I don't know what the hell.
Yeah, look at him. He's
So funny.
He's gonna mess that
Oh
guy up.
my god. Yeah. Can you imagine that? Just all of a sudden, there's just like people boxing on the Senate floor. There's just an MMA fight breaking out. Dude, like, crazy things just keep happening. Like, I have 3 more stories here. I don't know if you saw this, but there was an area where an Amazon truck got robbed. Did you see
I
that?
didn't hear about that. No.
This is crazy. And the poor driver is literally just standing there. Nothing they could have done. How do I get to the... Here it is. This is horrible. I don't know what area this was in. I think it was like San Francisco or something. Go figure.
Wow.
Yeah.
The music.
Dude, they're literally just robbed. And you can see the driver's like, oh, man. Like, what do you do? What do you do in that situation? Well, I mean, I know what you should do. Get your gun. Get the fuck away from the truck.
Problem is that Amazon will fire you immediately and get sued by the people who
Oh,
got
for
shot,
sure.
right? That's the
For
problem.
sure. But
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if Amazon is, I would imagine, because Amazon's a pretty woke company, they're probably pretty anti-gun.
Yeah.
Except for having their own guns, of course, right? They want your guns to be taken away, but they want to make sure that, Jeff Bezos' security guards are always armed. So they
smart,
want to take your guns and give them to the security guards. That's what they want to do,
Essentially,
basically.
yeah.
I don't know what the hell is going on out there, but yeah, that was crazy. There was another story. This was 2 weeks ago. Jonathan Lewis from Nevada was beaten to death by a group of 15 people. There was a little bit more context that came through today. Now, I'm not going to show the video because it was just brutal, but apparently group steals wireless headphones and vape pen from a kid. Lewis and group arrange fight behind the school over it. Lewis takes swings at another student and is immediately rushed by the mob. Mob beats him to death, inflicting non-survivable head trauma. 8 students are charged with murder over fatally bully beating of Jonathan Lewis. The craziest part is that this didn't break any news headlines for the most part until well after, right? So apparently the dad was like sat waiting by his side for like 6 days or whatever.
Oh my God.
He ended up passing. But dude, people have literally lost their fucking minds.
This is the
You found it?
yeah, it's really sad.
Yeah, it was
it's
brutal.
A literal huge mob of people just attacking.
There was approximately 15 of them. Like, I remember seeing it. There was one kid that they had just started hitting or whatever. I think his friend, you just see one kid like running away crying or whatever. And then they had him on the ground. They're just like going at him. It's crazy. We had something similar like that happen to at my school when we were younger. I think we were 16 or something like that. So I would have been what, like grade 10? So we had this one girl, I'm not going to mention her by name. But apparently there was a bunch of other girls that supposedly she was talking behind their back, of course. So basically, a couple of them followed the one girl who was doing the shit talking, whatever, down the street. She was like smoking cigarette up in like this tree area where all the underage smokers used to go. When all of a sudden, I kid you not, approximately 150 to 200 students came out of nowhere and ambushed them. Now they were in between like a fence, a bunch of trees, and basically a hill to go back down to the sidewalk. So they had absolutely nowhere to go. So you had this one little petite girl who was like maybe 5'2" at best, and this other girl who was like, I don't know, 5'4", 5'5", or whatever, and they were just relentlessly beating her to the point where she didn't die, and I don't think she really had any like life-threatening injuries, but they had her on the ground and they were just repeatedly like men were boys.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, boys were relentlessly kicking her over and over and over again. She was like bruised all over. She never came back to school. We found out like a month or two later, she ended up completely changing schools, legally changed her name completely. So that way these people could not find her again. And because she was a target at that point. And I think the girl got expelled, but I don't think she ever got criminally charged for essentially inciting the entire thing over something. Oh, you talking shit or whatever, right? Like somebody was saying something stupid. And I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on with society, but it's not like it's just been happening. A lot of people lately have just been like saying, oh, look how crazy things are getting. No, it's kind of been getting bad like this for a long time. It's just, I feel like with social media, we're just learning more about everything that's happening on a daily basis at this point. Right? Yeah, I don't know why my school had so many crazy stories. I mean, we had like, there was periods of time where we had like teachers that were legitimately fighting with students. I had a vice principal who wanted to fight me at one point. Yeah, it was kind of a long story, but like I was in the cafeteria talking to my friends, and I think I had a verbal argument with this one vice principal who just really did not like me. So he would constantly pick on me all the time. I would get suspended for some reasonable reasons, and then some unreasonable reasons.
Of course.
So there was one time we had a verbal argument because I think what had happened that day in particular was I had asked the teacher to go to the bathroom. I decided to go downstairs to the cafeteria, hung around for a few minutes, got caught by the vice principal, and he's like, oh, where are you supposed to be? I'm like, oh, I'm up in class. I just came down for a second just to tell my friends something. And he's like, oh, well, you're supposed to be in class, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, relax, dude. Like, I'm going back up, right? Even though realistically I was in the wrong. I wasn't supposed to be there at all.
Yeah.
But I remember going up to somebody else in the cafeteria, like a group of my friends, tell them something, and I don't know what happened, but I guess I like moved my hand like towards myself or something, and he comes like running up to me. He's like, what, you want to go, Angelo? You want to go? And he's like this big 6'3", played one game in the NHL for the Montreal Canadiens until he busted up his knee, and he's like, I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, oh, well, I saw your hand gesture, you want to kill me, right? Nah, dude, what are you talking about, right? He's like, we could go into the gym right now. We could brawl and have it out. I'm like, bro, like, you need to chill. Like, you're picking on a student, right? I'm like, I'm sorry you, like, you know, your life, your career and your life went to shit after your knee broke, right? But you don't have to take it out on everybody else. But I
have a story of it didn't happen to me, but inside my school, my school, there was we were in 6th grade, so it was a 6th grade homeroom teacher. He was everybody knew he was a little bit off his rocker, and he was a big guy, big, like 6 foot something, like big dude. And there was one of those kind of like, I don't want to label them this way, but kind of like a, you know, trouble student, you know, like wasn't
class clown type of thing.
Yeah, wasn't excited to be in school. But anyway, they had some, I don't know if it was an argument or what, but the teacher picked up a chair and threw it at the student. And it wasn't the first time that had happened either. Yeah, this guy, people used to leave like bologna slices on his car.
Oh my god!
Because you know what happens?
It strips paint.
It strips the paint of your car.
That actually works, though, right?
I've never tried it myself. Yeah, we should try it though someday.
I'll do it for like a vlog video. I'll just buy this really shitty like $200 car that doesn't even run. We'll just put a bunch of bologna slices on top of it just to see what happens. Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah. So I've heard of that a few times, unfortunately. Yeah. I mean, this is fair to say about any career in any. There's always going to be people who are not totally sane or shouldn't be in a line of work where they're teaching children. Yeah, that could be another case of it.
Yeah, I suppose so. I don't know what's going on out there, but it's been crazy. I mean, we got fights breaking out in the Senate. We got a deputy prime minister who might have Parkinson's disease or just really awkward. What is this? What did you just add here?
I just added this one. Okay, so I saw this video where it's a female pool player refuses to play her transgender opponent and she forfeits the final. So essentially they're in the final match of like a pool championship or whatever the hell it is. And she just goes over to the ref and she's like, I won't play against this person.
I mean, I don't blame her realistically, right?
But so it's so she's a woman. I guess it's like a women's league. And it's a transgender person who is competing and of course made it to the final. To
be clear, this was a biological man who transitioned into a woman.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Grew their hair and put some makeup on.
Right. I know there was another one. I think it were they wrestling or something? There was another story that kind of broke out this week as well, where a transgender person who was either wrestling or it was like an MMA fight or something, fighting biological females literally to the point where like they beat the living crap out of them. And I don't think that's the first time that's ever happened, but yeah, I don't agree that a biological male should be, playing physical sports with a biological female. It just doesn't make any sense, right? Like we had this whole ordeal. What was it, about a year and a half, 2 years ago, the swimmer from Pennsylvania who was a biological male, when they were competing with other biological males, they were doing terrible, like 73rd, 74th place, 90, whatever, something like that. Then all of a sudden they start swimming with the females and they take first place, right? When it's like, in reality, a biological female has no shot against, a man who's just biologically made, that's just how men are made. That's the difference between men and women in reality, right? I don't think any logical or reasonable woman is going to deny that, right? And I think a lot of them are now starting to finally realize what's happening and realize that, there's a reason why there are men and women's sports, right? Why there's women's soccer and men's soccer, and under small circumstances, there are some, times when a biological female could probably beat a biological male at whatever it might be, maybe chess or something.
Well, a good example actually is Ronda Rousey was talking about, I'm just going to read a quote that she's talking about. There was a transgender, so a biological male, transgender female.
In MMA, right?
In MMA.
Yeah. I think
who knocked out, who like destroyed like a woman in an MMA match. Ronda Rousey talks about it and she's like, I can knock out anyone in the world. I feel like if you go through puberty as a man, it's not something you can reverse. There's no undo button on that. Yeah. So like, clear advantage biologically.
Yeah. But then they'll try and use the argument of using puberty blockers or things to stop your puberty from even happening, which are just, again, we're not doctors, but from what I hear, they do some very, very evil things to the human body, and it's not exactly normal at the end of the day to decide, especially to a child, right? Like, why would you force that upon any child, right? I mean, I've seen the movie What is a Woman, and there was more than enough evidence in that movie displayed through that. Speaking of good movies, I watched this one movie. It's called Infringed. It's by Timcast. Unfortunately, you would have to be a member of their website to actually view the movie. But it was also in partnership with this lady named Lauren Southern. And basically the whole movie was talking about gun rights, essentially, and how they're slowly trying to infringe on, obviously, everybody's, constitutional right of the right to keep and bear arms, which is a constitutional right in the United States. Unfortunately, we don't have that so much here. We have to go through several courses to be able to acquire and even keep and own a firearm. Nowadays, and it went into a lot of detail about, like, what's kind of happening here in Canada, where they're slowly taking away our guns, little by little, because at some point, what they called assault weapons. Like, what is an assault weapon, first of all? What to you, what's an assault weapon?
Couldn't anything that you use to assault somebody be an assault weapon?
Right.
Like
right.
a flashlight? Couldn't it, like, anything?
Like this
a walking stick, a cane?
This pen. If I assaulted you with this pen, like if I stabbed you 200 times with it, it would now be an assault weapon.
Yes.
Right? So
but
now,
I can still buy it from Dollarama if
exactly.
I need to.
Right? So the argument just doesn't make any sense, right? Like, I get it. Like, if you had an AR-15 versus like a sawed-off shotgun or something, you could efficiently, yes, probably kill more people. But is that arguably not the same if hypothetically you had a smart car and you drove it into a crowd of people versus driving an F-350 dually into a crowd of people? Could you not effectively, in theory at least, kill more people with the F-350 dually than you could a tiny little smart car? I would say so, right?
Yeah.
So the argument just doesn't even really make any sense. It's kind of like, if you put all the examples together, yes, school shootings are obviously terrible. And maybe we should be a little bit more careful as to who we put guns in the hands of, right? But it's like, if you, for example, the Waukesha thing, I don't know if you remember it, the whole hype around that just died out very quickly.
What is it?
The Waukesha thing was, it was a Christmas parade. I think it happened last Christmas, if I'm not mistaken. You can fact check that for me. But basically, this nut job of a man who, from what I heard, was a big time Black Lives Matter supporter, and he decided he was going to take a Ford Escape and drive it through the parade, killing dozens, at least a dozen to 2 dozen people, and injuring plenty as well, right? Where there was families with children, and this person did not care who he targeted. So the question in that situation is, should we just ban all Ford Escapes?
Right.
Because now this Ford Escape was used as an assault weapon, right? The other thing was here in Canada. We had, do you remember the guy who went on the reserve in Saskatchewan and killed 13 people with a knife? So do we just ban all knives, including butter knives? Because knives can kill people?
Plastic knives.
That doesn't, plastic knives, right? I mean, you can get cut with a plastic knife, I'd imagine. So the whole argument just doesn't make any sense, right? Especially here in Canada, if you go out west, there's a lot of things out there that can kill you. The problem is, in Banff, you cannot carry a gun, right? But when a grizzly comes at you and your partner, well, walking through some trails, just minding your own business, and you get into Mr. Grizzly Bear's territory close to his children, they're not going to hesitate to end you, to literally rip you limb from limb. There's only one real way you can stop that thing, or at least try, and that's called a gun, right? It literally happened, 2 weeks ago? Apparently there was a couple who, for some odd reason, decided to go camping in Banff, which apparently most people don't do, and it did not end well, because Mr. Grizzly was very mad when he saw them camping. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. The whole argument against guns just doesn't make any sense, right? Like, you have Cuba as an example, where Fidel Castro took away everybody's guns. They didn't even know that he was a communist, but then as it turned out, he was a communist. But that's how you essentially take over a nation, is you take away everybody's only way of potentially fighting back. Not saying that, like Canada or the US is obviously going to try to, destroy us as a nation in that respect, where we are actually going to need them. But I'd rather have them and not need them than need them and not have them.
Right.
Right. It's kind of like, I mean, I'm going to Nevada soon. So I mentioned to my friends, I'm like, yeah, we should probably buy like an anti-venom bite kit or whatever. Right. He's like, do we really need one? I'm like, I'd rather not need one and have it,
but have it,
than
exactly.
to have it, or vice versa, right?
Not have it and need it.
Yeah, exactly. I run into rattlesnakes; they're around, okay, especially in those areas. Yeah, I would like to go and do my gun licensing soon, but I'm still kind of waiting for that. There was this one weird video popped up on my Instagram. I don't know what it's really weird. So what's your opinion on Greta? I know everybody knows who Greta is. Do you have an opinion on Greta?
I don't know. I don't know.
She's not a child, so you can insult her. I know she might look like one, but she's no longer a child.
I know. I don't know. I don't know what to think of her. She's like, she could have used her platform that she created out of thin air for a lot of good.
Yeah.
She thinks she is.
I don't think she is. I don't think she thinks she is. I think she's lying.
Okay.
All the way through. I think everything that she does is very well funded, very well calculated, sort of arguable, I guess you can say, because a lot of people know that she's a fraud. Because it just, a lot of the things, it seems like every time she goes to like these protests or organizes like some event or whatever, it seems so played out, right? Like, for example, the video that I have here is her, I'm guessing, at some event. This is really funny because there's like commentary from this one guy.
All right, you guys, big day. Greta is being arrested. We're gonna stop big oil. I want you to be big smile here. Voice of a generation. I love the yellow vests. I love that little beanie, Greta. I told you not to wear polyester. You know that's me with petroleum products. It's fine, we'll edit it in post. Let's get going, you guys. Police, really sell it. Get under that arm. We're gonna start pushing her around here. Ready, and action. Gotta push her around, really get in there. Get the sign in there. What's the point of it if I can't see it?
It does look like it's totally fake.
Yeah. It looks like it's completely played
guys,
out.
Start pushing it. This isn't just some random 12-year-old. No, I know she's 20, but she's playing a 12-year-old. Greta Thunberg. Did you guys not see the viral clip? This is what we're making. Now, when you put her in the back of the van, I really need you guys to sell this. I need you to smile. We're gonna stop big oil. I think we got it. Cut. Beautiful.
Love it. I love it.
Wait, she got fake arrested again?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like the third or fourth time that I've seen that this has happened. And every single time, it's always the exact same thing. It's just her getting fake arrested. So I don't know. I don't know what the deal is with these weird climate activists. And now they keep going to like museums and stuff. And they're just like destroying old pieces of art by like,
really?
There was one recently with like hammers. They had like little hammers or whatever, and they're like smashing up some random picture. I don't know exactly where it was, but it's been happening for like a year and a half. You haven't seen any of that? There was one that like it looked like he threw a can of SpaghettiOs like on this famous picture or something. I'm like, no, what are you doing? Like, dude, first of all, you pretend to care about the world, and then you're wasting a perfectly good can of SpaghettiOs that you could be sending over to like Africa or something, or like, you know, Chef Boyardee or whatever it might be. I'd probably prefer Chef Boyardee over SpaghettiOs anyways. But yeah, it's just so stupid. These people are so dumb. But my favorite ones is the recent ones of the people who've been gluing themselves to the ground to blockade traffic. And then they have to call in like the people to come and remove their hand because it's, I mean, dude, you're super gluing yourself to asphalt.
Oh, no, thank you.
So the things that they're doing, and then like they push them sometimes or whatever, they're just, their hand rips off. And it's so dumb. Like, why would you super glue your hand to the road while blocking traffic?
Because the message is more important.
Yeah, okay, whatever. Oh my God. I'd love to see what they do if we just stop producing oil. Like, If we stop producing, it's already happening.
What's it gonna look like?
Right? We stop producing oil. Where else is it gonna come from? It has to come from somewhere, right? So, I don't know, places like Iran, or places like Russia, right? Everybody wants to hate on Russia all the time, but the ones who are constantly hating on Russia are also the ones who are telling us to stop drilling for oil. So which one is it? Are we going to make our own economy bigger and sustainable, or are we just going to make Russia bigger and more sustainable for themselves? Which one do you want? Because you can't have it two ways. And I find like these weird lefty positions, they kind of like circumvent or argue against each other. They don't really make any sense. But yeah, anything else to add here? It might be a short video today.
Yeah, no, I can't recall anything else that's been.
Are you still playing Spider-Man?
No, I haven't played.
You stopped? You quit?
No, once I finished the story, I'm currently on hiatus.
You're too busy drinking your mushroom tea.
Exactly, my mushroom matcha. I don't understand why you would need to make matcha out of mushroom. It's already healthy enough. I don't get it.
It's all the extra stuff that they think you need.
It's not spirulina. It's the what's turkey tail. It's the turkey. It's the shiitake. This one has shiitake mushroom in it.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, it's got like 6 different types of mushroom.
But what about
cremini?
cremini?
Yeah, no, not cremini. I don't know.
Fail.
I gotta check the back. I don't think cremini's in it. But it's like those, shiitake. It's got turkey tail. It's got I don't know. I gotta check the back. But it's good. It's good stuff. Very good. It's very good. It's very healthy for you. They say like it's gonna clear out. It's I feel like it's the same effects of keto. Like clear your mind and help your focus and then shit out all the toxins.
You mean like the MCT oil stuff?
I remember I gotta grab that actually as well.
You could take the bag there. I have so many of them just because sometimes I forget to take it. Now I have another shipment just came in, so I have almost 2 full bags at home, plus 1 more bag, plus the one that's here. So feel free, because I have to pause my shipment now for like 2 months so I can finish that supply and then get kind of caught up on that. Oh man. But yeah, I'm gonna be hitting the road again. We're going to Ohio. I'm gonna probably do the brewery again. We're gonna do some infirmary. I don't even know what the infirmary is all about, but apparently it's spooky and super haunted. Then I'll be coming back and then doing Vegas.
Nice.
Yeah, it's been a little
You're
while.
Gonna do caves and stuff, right?
I think so.
That sounds cool.
Yeah, I think we're gonna try and go hunt some skinwalkers and other weird things out in the desert. It's kind of like our main goal. Probably a couple of haunted places along the way, and there's this one really cool area. It's very old. It dates back to like the 1900s. Like there's a cemetery that's just out in the middle of nowhere, established 1908. Right. So it looks pretty spooky and cool and. Well, should be interesting. I'm excited. And then we'll go to Caesar's Palace.
Oh yeah,
probably, and we'll just spend all of Carlo's money because I don't really gamble that much. I might spend like $100 or whatever in like a week, which it really isn't much when you gamble. But just the whole experience and the vibe of Vegas. Plus, it's warmer. It's like 20 degrees during the day Celsius right now.
Nice.
So, yeah, sunny.
Does it get very cold at night?
It can. In the city, I found that it doesn't. I guess because
all the lights.
Yeah, all the lights and everything's running, and the buildings are blocking the wind, which is a big factor. But then if you were to go out like to the desert area at night, it's pretty frigid. I'd say. Yeah.
One day I'll go.
Yeah, definitely go and check it out. In the meanwhile, we're going to pack it in for today. Like I said, we were supposed to have a guest, but unfortunately they could not make it. That asshole did not even text me.
Still at work.
But yeah, so that's pretty much it for today's podcast. I know it was kind of like all over the place and a little bit of this, a little bit of that, morbid stories, funny politics and weird, crazy things going on in the world. And, Greta Thunberg, who people still think is 12 years old, but really she's like 20 now.
Has it been 8 years of Greta?
I think so.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been a long time. Greta will not go away.
You.
How dare you? How dare you? You're killing us. Meanwhile, she was all just full of shit because nobody's dead yet. Right? The world hasn't imploded as of yet. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching and listening to us ramble for an hour and how long has it been? Hour and 28 minutes.
Nice.
And don't forget.
Make sure you get some for breakfast.
Yeah, a good old slice of. All right, guys, that is pretty much it. Don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe, follow us on social medias. We will leave all the links to everything down in the description below, along with our YouTube channels. If you want to check that out too, feel free. And we'll see you in the next one. Love ya. Bye-bye.
Good night.